won't give you like an average over a certain amount of time, but you can just check it and see where you're at. And then you point your workout in this, and then you can watch.
Wait a minute, we have to do that whole line training before I use it.
No, that was the simplest thing I've ever owned. And now I got a 310 XT. It's just complicating my life.
I did too. Mine doesn't even find the satellite very. Remember that one run I was like running my
Oh,
business?
yeah,
Find the
yeah.
satellite.
And I think I've got one more though that I don't know
I
if
purchased one of those.
Out of all the things that happen in sporting, that's one of the hardest. Well, they don't do any different. I mean, I was to know that because, you know, I don't feel that way, but,
It just kind of, it should act like it's totally silly.
Okay, I have 10-17. How about everybody else? Are you coordinated? Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a good split the difference. 10 and 10 agree? Perfect. All right, well, first I'd like to say thank you for everybody coming. Craig, are you set? Are we going? All right. Just, we are live or web streaming or live streaming this, so the front row, no picking your nose or doing anything obscene to Craig.
Give Craig a salute.
You could. Everyone, 1, 2, 3, salute. All right, so this is the first of the 3-part series that Kathy has put together, and I'm doing the basic lecture of nutrition and athletes. And it really doesn't have to be nutrition and athletes. It could be just general nutrition and fitness. I think you're more for the tri team, but things that you can learn here, I mean, anybody could do this and take home some pointers. So hopefully when you leave here, you do get a learning point out of this. So I'd like to say welcome. So how did I get here? All right, so about 5 years ago, a friend of mine suggested that I join this Oak Park tri-team. Why? Well, my son was playing hockey at the time, and I would sit there at the rink, and I would watch parents yell at these kids going, move it, skate, move your feet, go, go, go. And I thought, holy cow, I don't think I could do what my son does on that ice. And if I want him to be a better skater, a better athlete, I need to probably lead by example. So I need to do something. And at that time, my girls were doing gymnastics. And they can do more pull-ups and push-ups and sit-ups and leg lifts and planks and all that stuff more than I can do. And I'm like, okay, my kids, you know, this was 5 years ago, so that would have been, what, 7, 5, and 3. I was like, okay, I'm being outdone by these kids. So I decided that I would do something about it. Well, someone suggested, well, why don't we do a triathlon? I said, great, what's a triathlon? and then someone goes, well, maybe you should join the Oak Park 5 team. And I did. And I still remember looking at Kathy during some of those very first training sessions while I was on the bike going, what the F did I get myself into? And when she yelled at it, I just want to go, stick it. I'm like, oh my God. But I did. I conquered the first triathlon, and I felt really good about it. And I felt good about myself that my kids came and watched their mom, you know, across the finish line, no matter how graceful or ungraceful it was. So that's kind of how I got here. So with the Oak Park Tri-Team, and for the new members here, I hope you'll learn that with this team, you'll not just cross the finish line, but you will develop friendships, you will have camaraderie, you will develop self-esteem, support. You too may become a trainer or a leader at some point. It's just a wonderful environment. So I'd like to welcome all the new people to the group. So that's what I experienced. The other thing I experienced is talking to fellow triathletes going, oh my God, that race was up there. Oh my gosh, how can we bump at 23 miles? Or myself is, why did I run 2 marathons and each marathon at 23 miles did I crash into the wall? What am I doing wrong? What is going on? There's got to be a bigger picture to all this. All right, so there's always something that potentially keeps us from attaining our goal, whether it's in athletes or races, whether it's in life, whether it's personal development. There's always some link that may keep us from getting up to our goal. So in this session, we're going to go. There's one piece of that link that may keep you from crossing the finish line, but this could apply to different areas in life. Is what does that one mean? So here's the bigger picture of who I am. So most of you guys know me as Janet Hamill. That's what I am in my non-professional life. But I am Janet Ng. I'm an emergency physician. I have been for over the last 20 years. I also am fellowship trained in medical toxicology, so I deal with like poisoning and overdoses. Well, over the last 20 years, I have taken care of a lot of people who are unhealthy, unfit, who people who come into the emergency departments in the middle of the night. I'm hoping to take care of people who want to be healthier, who want to change their lifestyle, and who don't want to show up and see me in the emergency department. So my goal is by the end of this year, I'm going to be completely transitioned and won't be coming to try class after working a 24-hour shift or a night shift anymore. Who, when I talked about, okay, I've been up 36 hours or I just came off my shift, so if I drown, I know it's in the shallow end, so all you do is yell at me to wake me up and tell me to stand up. Some of the other things that I am working on is hopefully by the end of this month, I will start my precision nutrition training. It's about a 7-month program on high-level nutrition. It's based out of Canada, and one of the guys that put together that program has worked with the Canadian Olympic athletes and turned around some of the NHL teams with their nutrition. So, hopefully I will start that program at the end of this month, and then in 7 months I'll complete that. And then after that, my ultimate goal is to do oxygen utilization and VO2 max testing, which we'll cover a little bit in there. So my goal is by next year I will be up and running with the nutrition, and then I can start measuring actual VO2 max on a machine, and then look at everybody. So again, it's not just for athletes; it's for anybody who wants to get home and get better. So that's what I am. That's my bigger picture. So let's start getting into the cruxes. So we have energy needs, and we want to get through the race. But what is one of the big things that we keep running into is fatigue. So here we are, we're working, we're getting muscle strength, and we're doing all those things, and then we fatigue. So that's one of the things that you in this tri-class, you're training for. You're training to get through your endurance, you're training to work through that fatigue, you're trying to push it a little bit harder. So one of the things you have to know is that your body is the most incredible mechanism, machine, energy utilizing, being out there. But you have needs, okay? So you have this baseline need to just have your heart beat, to breathe, to sit here and listen to me, to sleep. You have a basic general need. But then when you start adding all your swimming, biking, running, all those things, and your burst of energies to go on top of that, your body is going to have to function, it's going to have to get more energy, it's going to have to function a little better, and that's what you're training for. Well, part of that training is going to rely on your nutrition, because inside your body, you have obviously these organs and all that stuff, but really you're made up of millions and millions of little cells, okay? And inside the cell is one little guy, it's called the mitochondria. That is the powerhouse of the cell. That is really what generates your whole body. So what you're trying to do is make that little mitochondria more efficient. You want it to be able to use oxygen better, you want it to use fats better, you want to use carbohydrates and proteins, all of those things better. And now research has shown that you can actually increase the number of mitochondria in your body. So you're not just born with 1 billion mitochondria. With your training and your energy and your working out, you can increase your number of mitochondria to make you a more efficient elite athlete. All right, to do that though, you have these cell layers here. And with that cell layer, you want that to be as healthy as possible, because you want macronutrients or hormones to be able to go back and forth between the cell layers to get to the organs that it needs to be, to get to the muscles, to get to where it needs to be. So you need to be able to provide a fluid membrane to do that. All right, so that's just kind of you in a big scope. So let's get down to some of the crux of this. So carbohydrates. We hear about these things. We hear about carbohydrates. We hear about proteins and fats, but sometimes we don't really truly know what is really a carbohydrate, what is a protein and fat. So I would like to go through that with you guys so you have a general basis. So a carbohydrate is just like your fruits, your milk, your breads, pasta, rice. We hear a lot about breads, pasta, and rice before races, with carb loading, or potatoes and vegetables. The carbohydrate basically breaks down into smaller particles, which are sugars. And then your sugars, once you ingest it, is stored in your body as different sugars. And then when you need it in the energy source, those sugars come together to come as an energy source to make ATP, which is your fuel that you rely on. The glucose in the bloodstream is known as your blood sugar. So if you hear about somebody's blood sugar dropping, that's the blood sugar that's in your bloodstream right there, versus glycogen that's stored in your liver and your muscles. All right. So carbohydrates are just made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen molecules. Something that you don't really have to know, but just if you're reading about it, you hear about a carbon or oxygen, that's just what a carbohydrate is made up of. You have simple sugars or monosaccharides, that's just one sugar, that's like your glucose, fructose, galactose. And then you can put them together to make something called disaccharides. And that's your, if you have sucrose. So if you hear something called sucrose, that's just glucose and fructose put together. And sucrose is single sugar. If you hear lactose, that's just glucose and galactose put together. And then maltose is glucose and a glucose molecule. So when you read about different training articles and you hear about simple sugars or monosaccharides, you hear the sucrose or lactose, you'll go, what the heck is sucrose or lactose? That's what it is. Maltose is not very important in the nutritional things. It would be down in your beer. That's your after-race nutrition. So that's where that sugar comes into play. Your oligosaccharides, those are huge chain molecules. They're like 2 to 28 sugar molecules. That would be something you want to avoid in any type of race situation. Because what happens is that you eat something that's a huge chain sugar, and it's just going to sit in your gut and ferment. And then the next thing you know, you're going to be running, you're going to be gassy, you're going to be looking for the tree, you're going to be expelling whatever's in your gut, and that's not how you want to run a race. So when you start reading on nutrition articles, these are the things that you kind of need to know about.
Could you give an example of a polysaccharide? Something to avoid?
Something to avoid. Wait, I probably should have thought of something to avoid. Because I always think of simple sugars. Let me think about that and I'll get back to you.
All right.
On exact one. Alright, so glucose. So what happens is that after you ingest a glucose, some of it sits in your bloodstream. Alright, so that's about 5 grams or 20 calories that sits in your bloodstream as blood sugar. Some of it gets converted and stored into your liver. That's your glycogen stores. And then also you need to be able to fuel your brain and other organs. If you ever remember, you guys ever remember like your blood sugar drops or whatever, you have to really honest. So therefore you need to be able to function there. And then some goes into your muscles to be stored and used later. Now, some other things that we hear about is glycemic index. Does anybody know about glycemic index or heard about it? Okay. So really what you want to know is glycemic index just talks about how fast a carbohydrate will raise your blood sugar. Alright, so something that raises your blood sugar very quickly is a high glycemic index food, such as oranges, some breads, some of the breads can do that, versus a low glycemic index food where it raises your blood sugar very slowly and then comes down. And an apple is actually a low glycemic index food. Alright, when you are doing glycemic index in sports nutrition, again, you want to know about how fast and how quick your blood sugar is going to go up, because if the faster it goes up, the faster it comes down. So what you may be feeling during some of these races like, gosh, I ate all these carbs. Why am I still crashing in the middle of my race? Well, it could be based on the glycemic index of the food. So that's why you kind of need to know about some of these things too. So that might help you with your pre-race, your in-training, or in-race nutrition, to know about glycemic index, to know how your blood sugar is going to rise and fall. The way they figured out glycemic index of foods is that they compared it to a piece of white bread. So a piece of white bread has a glycemic index of 100. All right, so that's going to be the marker. So what they do is that you eat a piece of bread, and in 2 hours they measure your blood sugar, and that's going to be considered your baseline 100. Then what they do to figure out other glycemic indexes of food is that they will give you a certain amount of like an apple, for example, and then they measure your blood sugar 2 hours later. And then if it's, like whatever you eat, if it raises the same amount as that white piece of bread, then that's a glycemic index of 100. If your blood sugar only goes up half as much, then that's a glycemic index of 50. If it only goes up a fifth of it, then it's a glycemic index of 20. So that's how they figured out what a glycemic index is and how to compare. So it's compared to a piece of white bread. Okay. So this is kind of an example of that. So if you eat an apple, for example, it's considered a lower glycemic index food. So your blood sugar is going to rise slowly. Insulin's going to follow, because that's going to be your counterbalance. But then you get a slow decrease of your blood sugar and you kind of maintain. Alright, so if you eat something with a high glycemic index, like those gummy bears, so your blood sugar is going to spike up really quick, insulin's going to follow, but then you kind of overshoot with your insulin. So what's going to happen? Your blood sugar is going to fall below baseline, and that's when you start feeling more of that crash and burn feeling. Okay, based on the glycemic index. And then you'll eventually
kind of level out, but it may take a while. And especially if you're exercising it really hard, you're never going to get that back up. So that's where you're going to really crash and burn in a race, or just to get into that finish on that one. So there's good carbs and bad carbs. Protein, those are the meats that we all know about, the egg whites, the chicken, the turkey, beans, milk, yogurt. When you look at your different yogurts, if you look at the Greek yogurts, those tend to have more protein in there as well. So proteins, what they do is they break down into amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So it's really kind of funny. You have to eat a protein, then it gets broken down in your body as a simple storage unit, and then your body has to rebuild it. All right. So unfortunately, you can't eat the protein, the meat, and it stays meat to be used again. It has to go through this whole metabolism thing. All right. So what do we use the proteins for? We use them to repair or build muscles. We use them to form bones and make new blood cells. And this is a really big portion also of your immune system, are the proteins. Unfortunately, proteins cannot be stored in your body in large amounts. So, we talk about carb loading before a race. We eat a lot of carbs in that way. You really can't protein load before a race. Anything more than 40 grams of protein at one time, your body doesn't know what to do with it, so it's just wasted. It's gone. So that's why we talk about if your proteins, you want to eat small amounts or regular amounts frequently throughout the day, because you can't store proteins in large amounts. Okay? So 80 grams of protein in one sitting is not the same as 2 different 40 grams of protein ingested. You just wasted that.
Is there a timeline on that?
Every 3 to 4 hours, 4 to 6. It just kind of depends on every metabolism, but that's general rules, like anywhere between 4 and 6 hours. Okay, so proteins account for 15 to 20% of muscles. The rest is water, carbohydrates, fat, and minerals. Again, proteins are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen with occasional sulfurs, and there's 20 different amino acids that make different proteins. The thing that you're going to start reading and hearing about in the literature, if you haven't already, is that the branched chain amino acids, right? There are some protein molecules, and just mainly they say leucine, isoleucine, and beta, that look like branches. When you look at the molecular structure, that's just how they came up with branched chain amino acids versus one straight line. These tend to be better absorbed and better utilized. So some of the research and articles that we're seeing where it's talking about using more branched chain amino acids during your workout and during your race. So during my workouts and during some of my longer runs now, and my son who plays hockey, I actually have branched chain amino acids into his drink. And then in off season, we'll talk about it. That's when you really kind of want to start getting some of the branched chain amino acids to replace your protein source.
Are there food sources for branched chain amino acids as opposed to powder?
There are. You just kind of have to look at them and see which stores are better. I mean, all of your protein stores should have a little bit. Some may be better than others. Again, I didn't really look at that one specifically, but and it depends on availability too. And we're going to talk about this a little later. Just kind of said the problem with utilizing completely macronutrients in food is that what you're getting is not what you think that you're getting. Oh my God, I thought I was
Our leader is here.
Yay! Oh, Skip is sick. Oh, I totally forgot to tell you changes. Please continue. Sorry. So, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but stuff like your vegetables and things that you're thinking you're getting that are healthy and full of macronutrients, the way they're farming and doing mass production, you're really not getting all the nutrients out of them. And I think the same thing goes with your proteins and your meat stores, that you're getting grain-fed meats versus grass-fed, and so your macronutrients are there. So unfortunately, if you're just doing general fitness and wellness, you can probably get by with just eating cleaner foods. But I think once you start pushing it and start racing more and pushing your body more, I think you're going to have to start using more supplements, unless you're going to racing your own.
And they're anti-fitness?
Yeah, those provide all the essential amino acids.
The branched chain, I would say they provide all the essential. I mean, they provide the majority of them, but they should get most. Like I hate to say, the stuff that I get from Jason Ryan class pretty much has anything that I want to train with. So whenever I use his protein powder drink for me and that he's my son, it's not like we're eating a big protein meal. protein can our bodies use? When you read the literature, it'll say that you can only use 2 to 2.5 grams per kilo per day. The average is 1.6 to 1.8. If you look at protein in your meals, we talked about 40 grams of protein at one setting. It's the size of a deck of cards. So, any steak bigger than that or any, meal bigger than that is wasted protein and is too much protein. So if you just look at average portion and size, just look at that deck of cards. And again, we talked about 40 grams of protein. When we talk about quality of proteins, it's like how well the amino acids make up the food and fits a pattern for growth and repair. So that's really a lot of how the quality comes in. It's like, you're kind of asking about how much protein and all that stuff. And it just kind of looks at how well does your body use the food. So even if you have a good protein source and a good protein supplement, though, if you're not a healthy person and your body's not functioning well, you're not going to get the maximum benefit of that protein anyway. So a lot of it is just not just the food that you take in, but how well is your body functioning. The high biological values like the eggs, milk, soy meat, poultry, fish, those are, obviously some protein sources are better than others because of what you're getting at. The egg portion is more the egg whites. Eggs are kind of getting a bad rap about protein and cholesterol. And I just went to another seminar about the cholesterol in eggs. That is actually when you break up the egg yolk. When you break up the egg yolk and then cook it that way, that's when you oxidize the cholesterol and it converts to bad cholesterol. And there are now researchers that if you boil your egg or keep the egg yolk whole when you cook it, you don't actually get the bad cholesterol out of that. So there's some research on that coming out. And protein should come from like variety of food. Use of proteins during endurance training. Well, when you have your low carbohydrate stores, you need to get your energy from amino acids and energies. And so, that's where the branched chains are more efficient than your other types of amino acids. So, leucine and isoleucine and valine, is that what you're kind of getting at, is how it's used better? Or?
No, I was just wondering the completeness of branched chain amino acids. Does it contain all the amino acids, or are there certain ones that are more important for working out?
Well, branched chain are just those simple three, right? So you still need all the other amino acids.
Right, so they're just supplementing.
They're supplementing. Okay. But they have shown that supplying branched chain amino acids to the muscle seems to be a rate limiting step for energy production. So you do need more of those. Looking at fat, fat kind of gets a bad rap. Everybody thinks, oh gosh, fat, and you don't want to have fat, not eating any low fat food. This is such a bad thing. Actually, no, you need fat in your body. Why? Because you need it to help with satiety. If you don't have fat in your diet, you're never going to feel full, right? Fat is also needed as one of the parent compounds to help make cholesterol, help make your lipids, help make other enzymes that you need for your body that you can function. The other thing too is, depending on your healthy fats, remember we talked about the cell membrane, how you needed it fluid and flexible to get macronutrients and hormones across it. Well, that's what fats do. Fats kind of help keep that fluid and flexible. There's healthy fats and there's unhealthy fats. If you eat enough of the healthy fats, it's going to stay fluid and flexible. But if you eat a lot of the garbage like the trans fats, then it's going to be a stiffened cell membrane and you can't get stuck across. So that's why, we do need fats. The oils, butters, milks, again, it is essential for nutrient for athletes because you do need that for your hormones, your adrenals, those types of things. Then people say, well, can you even burn fats for your energy? Well, yeah, you can, and we're going to talk about that later in the lecture about being able to burn fats a little bit more efficiently as your energy source. But fats and carbohydrates work together, so you just kind of need all of it in a well-rounded balance. So this getting on fats. So, okay, there's saturated fats. And saturated fats is kind of like the white fat that you see on the meat. The beef cattle industry really looks at marbling of meat, and that's the amount of fat that's in throughout the meat. So that's like your saturated fat. That's going to increase your cholesterol, and that's usually more solid at room temperature. That's the saturated fats. And then you had the unsaturated fats, would. Some of those are healthier, like your olive oils or some healthier fats. And then you hear about the omegas. Okay, so your omega-6s and your omega-3s are also fats. You tend to find them more in fish. Unfortunately, with our diet, we tend to have more omega-6s than omega-3s. So a healthy ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is like a 2-to-1 ratio. You should have 2 times the omega-3s, omega-6s and omega-3s. In our standard American diet, which we actually kind of refer to as a SAD diet, because it is really sad if you think about what everything we eat 20 to 1 omega-6s to omega-3s. So what does that set you up for? It's definitely one of those where more is not better, because having such a high level of omega-6s sets you for more cardiovascular disease, more inflammation, and higher risk of diabetes. So as long as you're eating, more of the fish, more of the omega-3s, and kind of, cut back on omega-6s and balancing out that, then you're eating a better ratio of omega-6s.
What are examples of omega-6 foods?
Omega-6 foods are some of your meats, but the problem is that the meats that are grain-fed, that raises up your omega-6s. So if you're going to look at meat as a source, like fish is a good omega-3, if you can get grain-fed beef, that because of the grains and all that, and the plant sterols, that will increase your omega-3s. And flaxseed is also another one that can bump up your omega-3s.
What are the supplements or something, that the eggs that are quote omega-3 eggs? And they're advertising, 18 times more omega-3 and
Yeah, I don't.
regular eggs. How effective is that?
I don't really know, because I don't know what you're doing to really boost that. And I always worry about when they say that they're.
I actually read that in my chia book that they feed the nutritionist chia. And that actually doesn't make any sense.
Is that a chia pet? A chia chicken?
They feed them a high flax.
But that, okay, so if they feed them a high fat diet, and that's kind of another can of worms, because they sometimes say that flaxseed is a phytoestrogen, which can potentially increase problems and estrogen positive types of cancers. And so, but then you read other people that say because it's more of a natural source. So I think when you're looking at all this, you kind of really have to decide what's going to be best on your nutrient. If you want to pay more for the omega-3 chia chicken eggs, you can do that. If you just want to get, look at just like regular eggs and maybe, free range or something like that, or the cheese, in water to see if they grow. Yeah. So, again, that's even more, and hopefully by the time I'm done with my precision nutrition program, I can actually answer some of these a little bit better or a little bit more eloquently. So that'll be. Yeah, get back to me in about 8 months to a year, and then I'll let you know what I found out on these things.
So Jan, before we move on, best oils to cook with, that's always a big question mark.
Olive oil is definitely a good one.
What about coconut oil,
Yeah, there's-
canola oil? And
I use coconut oil.
Yeah, okay.
I do use coconut
I
oil.
don't need the Evo to cook it, 'cause
Right.
the Evo gets broken down when you heat it. So regular olive oil is cooked, but Evo for your
Your salads, right.
Okay.
And cold pressed, you go, yeah, you can make your breads and your salads, but you can bring in olive oil. I use a lot of coconut oil.
But then the other thing is the fish thing, because, there's so many controversies about farm-raised fish versus wild-caught fish. And the farm-raised fish are also fed with, it depends on where you get it from, whether they're antibiotic-laden,
Right.
corn-fed fish versus are they kept in a
Big tank,
isolation,
right.
netting, out in a natural environment where they're just eating fish.
Right, or are they swimming in the mercury-laden waters, and then you talk
Right.
about mercury in fish, especially,
And then the more cold water the fish comes from, the better it is for you because there's more polyunsaturated fats. You think about the natural antifreeze, the fish has to remain liquid even at cold temperatures. So the colder water the fish comes from, the more polyunsaturated fats are in fish.
And I don't think, and unfortunately, I hate to be so think in today's world you can actually eat till we eat. I guess unless you are doing your own farming and raising and self-sustainability yourself.
We all have time for that.
Right, in our busy schedules. So, right, so I don't think we can eat till we clean, but I think if we're at least educated on some of these things, we might get a little cleaner than what we used to be. Right, and avocado is a good fat, it falls under the polyunsaturated. So avocado is good. Good fat. Okay. So, are we good on that? Are we full on that? Okay. All right. So what happens in our body when we exercise with the fat? So normally we need to have carbohydrates, and that's like our quick energy store, right? If you do like powerlifting or quick bursts of energy, you definitely need carbohydrates. But if you're doing a longer, slower, just endurance, general run, not really pushing it to your threshold, you will actually burn a little bit more fats that way. What you will burn first is the fats in your bloodstream to a certain point, and then your muscles will start to burn some of the fats as well as that's already stored. Then in your body, you can start metabolizing the fats. Once you're a more efficient machine, remember the little mitochondria that I talked about? Once you rev up the mitochondria and make more of those, you can actually become more efficient and burn more fats that way. All right. So that's what you eventually want to do, is get yourself to be a healthier, better functioning machine so you can burn more fats that way. So that's kind of what's happening when you exercise is, carbohydrates is one of your quick energy stores, and then allow yourself to train yourself, and you can improve that, and you can start burning more fats when you exercise. So there's two different kinds of energy systems. If you think about the computer, you have a laptop computer, so it can run off of a battery, or you can run off of power sources. Well, in your body, you have two different energy sources. You have your anaerobic system, and then you have your aerobic system. So your anaerobic system is your quick burst of energy. You can only do that for a short period of time, or else you can burn out. And this is where you convert oxygen and stored energy happens that you actually don't use oxygen. So this is a non-oxygen system, and your only fuel source is going to be glucose at this point. What happens is that with the anaerobic system, you're eventually going to build up lactate as a byproduct. So this is just a very quick, short burst. You can't sustain on the anaerobic system. So if you think about it, you're running, and then you have this quick burst of energy, all right? So if you think about energy sources and kind of money, so you're going to put into your energy source $1 or a couple dollars, and you're going to buy packets of energy, per se, all right? So with that, they're going to spit out change, and then you can eventually buy a little bit more energy source with a little bit more energy source. So that's kind of your anaerobic. You can only use it for a short amount of time. Eventually, you're going to get down to the pennies where you can't really buy anything. So if you think of pennies as lactate, all right, so the pennies are building up in your system. That's your lactate that's building up in your system. You can't really buy any more energy source. It just sits in your muscles as lactate now. So now that's when you kind of get the fatigue, you get the muscle soreness, you can't go any further, you can't do anything, and then what's going to happen after that? Well, you're going to look like this. Well, not like that. You're going to look like this guy here. So you can't finish, you feel like crap, your muscles hurt, you're really tired, you just like barely can cross the finish line, then all that lactate is building up in your system. So that's what's going to happen with your anaerobic system, and you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is build up a better aerobic system with your training and process. So this is, use your aerobic system more for the longer endurance activities, like your triathlons, your longer distances. And this is where you actually use oxygen to help burn fuel. It gives off a lot more ATP so you can work longer. However, it takes longer to build that ATP and to get the energy system. So that's why you want a healthy mitochondria, a healthy cell, so you can make that ATP a lot faster. Your fats and carbohydrates are your major fuel source, and this is where your conditioning really pays off. This is just your standard healthy diet that we should be aiming for. You want to have a lot of fruits and vegetables, small portions grains, we're even talking about maybe cutting back on the grains, depending on if you want to lose weight or not. That kind of depends on your general health system. But I think looking at the fruits and vegetables, I can say that probably the majority of people do not get their adequate amount of fruits and vegetables, especially in this Native American diet. Standard portion control, we talked about protein as the deck of cards or the palm of your hand. I don't know how you bring deck of cards to dinner with them. Your carbohydrate portion should be smaller than this, and your vegetable portion should be bigger than your hands. So that's kind of a good idea, of how you should have your portions in your regular diet. Now, looking at us as athletes, that changes just a little bit, but not a whole lot. So let's look at our plate and what we should do, like for easy training, weight management, just kind of getting started, not really in the high competition season. So we should still have quite a bit of fruits and vegetables. We should also have our pastas and our meat. Now, depending on your weight management, what do you want? So this line can go back and forth. All right. So if you want to lose some weight, cut back on your whole grains and your carbs. That way, your pastas, your breads, those types of things. And if you want to gain some weight, you can swing that back over and then increase your whole grains. So it depends on where you are in weight management, where you want to be. Your fat should be about a teaspoon of fat. Okay. And then the oils, like the avocados, nuts, seeds, those types of things. All right. Then moderate training, what happens here? So now you're doing moderate training, you're going to increase a little bit more activity, burn a little more calories, need more energy. You should still have a pretty good source of fruits and vegetables, but now your carbs are going to come into play. You need a little bit more carbs for that. Your fats went from a teaspoon up to a tablespoon of fats. You do the same oils, and then your protein is still about the same. Okay, now here's hard training, race day, getting ready for what you're going to eat. So boom, you need more carbs, okay? Because still carbs is going to be your major fuel source. So you want to have a good kind of tank full of carbs and proteins and fats, and then right before a race, you want to just eat a little more carbs just to top off that tank. All right. You have to be careful with your fruits and vegetables that you eat because you don't want them to start fermenting in your gut. You don't want a lot of fiber because you don't want to be gassy during a race or those types of things. You still need some protein too. Again, the 40 grams, you don't want to eat more than that. And some of the protein drinks, when you look at it, I think like the protein drink that I use actually gives me like 42 grams of protein in my serving. So 2 grams is kind of wasted, but I probably would recall it anyway. So kind of look at that. Now you're up to 2 tablespoons of fats. Right, so just depending on how you are and where you are in your training and race cycle, your diet's going to change in proportion to it.
How far out do you switch over to that? Coming up on race day. If I just come up with hard training, then you taper, so.
We'll talk about that because I have some slides that kind of incorporate. It's really hard. It's not like there's one day go, ooh, okay, we're here. Ooh, look at how we do tri-pass. We do a little build and back, or build and back. And look at our the running programs. 2 weeks hard, 1 week off, 2 weeks hard. So it kind of, as you're building, you kind of just grab, it's a gradual.
And I think too is that it depends on what distance racing you're doing and that kind of stuff. So with the year you were into Ironmaning, when you're going into that, you've got like 5 and 6 hour rides and that kind of stuff. That's when you really have to take into account you're going to bonk if you can't fuel yourself. So during that whole season, when you were doing all that really long training for 3 months in a row, that whole time for you were probably doing more carbs than should have. Whereas for someone else, if they're doing shorter races and moderate training, but then they're ramping up at the end for a half iron of season, then they might only go to more greens as they get closer to that longer stuff. So it really kind of depends on what kind of training you're doing.
All right, so there's a concept called periodization of your nutrition. So nutrition periodization was coined back in the 1960s by a Russian and Romanian physiologist and scientist. So they did this because they wanted to optimize your nutrition. They wanted to keep you from overtraining. Because after a while, some of us probably know we've overtrained, and then the more we run, the more we try to work out, we can't do it, we're burned out, we're fatigued, we have more energy loss, we have more injury. those are things that, how can we optimize our nutrition? So that way we're not even burning ourselves out before we hit the race time. So you're cycling throughout the year, so that way by the time competition season comes, you're at your peak nutrition and peak energy level. So they kind of broke it down to preseason competition recovery curves, and we can talk about some of those things if you want to know. So it centers on your training and conditioning practices. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to match your nutrition to what your output is, kind of what we just talked about. So hopefully you'll have that better immune system, so you won't get the vitamin and mineral deficiencies. You know, last year I did not do my nutrition very well, and it really showed when I ran that trail race that we were performing on, and it took me 2 hours to run the last 6 miles because my legs were just nothing but knotted up cramps. But I was on the portion of the trail where you can't go back, the only way to go forward, and there was no help in that part of the race trail. So that's where, you know, my nutrition really stunk, and that's where I kind of learned from that. You know, how many people have run a marathon and the next week they're sick? Or run a long race and the next week they're sick? And that's, you know, your immune system is shot. When you're running these races, you're stressing your immune system, you're stressing your adrenals, and if you're not replacing some of these things, and also looking at some of the hormone things like your cortisol, and making sure that your thyroid is a well-functioning thyroid organ, and those types of things. If that's not high-tuned and right in there, you're going to get sick after a race. And that's the last thing you do is get sick after a race, and then you're recovering from a race, or even before a race. How many people have run a race and they're sick during the race?
Sorry, the taper people get sick.
Yes.
frequently.
So, you know, I've been like kind of stuffy cold trying to run a race, and you think, oh my God, if I just pack up that lung on that first couple miles, I'll be good. So, you know, that's where, you know, you think that is kind of natural. I mean, it was almost like when I started this, I go, well, it's just normal. I'm going to get sick. This is just the way it is. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. It's like when you're running those races, you do not have to lose your toenails. You do not have to have black toenails. After I read Fixing Your Feet, I have not had a black toenail since. So we can't fix ourselves. All right, so we look at our caloric requirements based on our lean body mass. So this will give me a lot of science on how to do that. And again, hopefully after my next 7 months of training, I can do a lot of this for you guys. And I actually started doing this for my son who plays hockey. So I sat there at the dinner table the other night, figuring out his basal metabolic rate and all this stuff, figuring out how to do his calories so that he's the mom. So if you look at your recommended goals, just in basic nutrition, you want to have 1.3 to 1.5 calories times your basal metabolic rate. And then you calculate your basal metabolic rate based on your weight in kilograms. I'm not going to bore you on this. So if you look at energy needs, though, it's all kind of like these number factors based on your metabolic rate if you're doing low, moderate, or high training. In general, and I don't know how many people kind of want to look at this, but your carbohydrates, you get 4 calories per gram, same as your protein, but fat, you get 9 calories per gram. But when you're looking at just your general diet, so what does that mean to you? Is just a bunch of numbers? Well, probably 55 to 60% of your diet should be carbohydrates, all right? Your protein should be about 15 to 20, and then your fat should make up the rest. So if you're like deer in a headlight and you kind of go, oh, here comes these numbers, I'm going to hit the wall on that one. Don't worry about it. That's just kind of the big picture that most of your diet should still be, you know, some kind of carbs and then 50 fats. So, okay, let's look at some seasons here. So let's look at preseason. So your goal is to prepare for competition. You want a good baseline body. You want a good, you know, solid foundation. You want to prevent any nutritional deficiencies from occurring. You don't want to run Tacoma and have your muscles go into spasm or run a marathon. You don't want to hit that 23 miles of that marathon 200 miles in a row and then crash. You want to have a good functioning system. So you want to be able to provide your body with sufficient carbohydrates and fuel based on your needs. You want to make sure that you have good glycogen stores replenished and muscular proteins. And your preseason, that is a time to either gain or lose weight depending on what you want to do. You do not want to gain weight and lose weight when you're ramping up your season, your race season. That's not good, especially losing weight. You don't want to lose weight when you're getting into the competition season. They actually say you should not lose or gain more than 1 to 2 pounds a week. Anything faster than that, you're going to, you know, lose energy, or you're going to be not at all. And then you want to integrate your aerobic and anaerobic develop your aerobic capacity, you want to develop your fitness, you want to go for the duration. And, you know, endurance runner sacrifices speed of a 5K to be able to run longer. So my 5K times used to be like 8 and 9.5 miles, and now my goal is to hit 10 to 12 miles for the longer races. You want to build up muscle strength, you want to increase your flexibility to support your next training, and then this can last anywhere 16 to 20. If you look at some of those training cycles, like they're usually like 16 to 20. It just kind of nothing really use. So, okay, all of our good form running people, what do you see in this picture? Yeah.
Check mark, check mark.
Alright, so for a 130-pound runner, this is how I kind of broke down my nutrition stuff. So carbohydrates, if I was doing like moderate to heavy things pre-season, I kind of base my grams per kilogram and tell you kind of how many grams per day. And then I also look at protein and fat. The overall thing is like pre-season, it came out to about 2,200 calories per day on nutrition goals. Again, the workouts and trainings are very high intensity. So the thing is that, you know, pre-season, I didn't really need to do any of these pre-exercise snacks. I wasn't really eating a lot during just kind of basic workouts. So when I was training for those ultras a couple of years ago, I didn't really, you know, anything longer than 10 to 13 miles is cool when I started my nutrition, and that I just kind of got up to that point. But then I realized that that would probably do a detriment to me, and I should probably start doing some supplementation earlier on. Again, you should also do new foods to avoid getting enough food rut, and then also practice with your nutrition supplements too. All throughout, I think it's really important to work with your gels, your foods, all those things. And I don't like gels and foods when I work out and run. I think it just sits in my stomach. I'm not a good gel and food person. The jelly beans, Frank was here, you know, I thought, you know, chasing my jelly beans when we ran. What I found though was that I needed to work with that a little bit more, because that's when at 23 miles I kept crashing because I didn't have a good plan, and I didn't think through, and I didn't really know what to get me through further. So it did take those 2 marathons and crashing at 23 miles to go, oh, all these foods and gels that people talk about didn't work for me. I needed extra food. So by the time I hit my 100K, I was eating, you know, I had ramen noodles, I ate a pizza at one of the stops. I mean, I was eating, as if it gave me real food that I was able to finish. And really, when I look back now, after I got done with that 100K, I probably could have done a full 100 miles because I felt that good in my first race. So this is the time to start working with that. Your build cycle, kind of in the pre-season. So now you're starting to build, or pre-race cycle is kind of that transition, all right? So you're starting to ramp up some of your intensity. You kind of increase your volume with it. And then your goal here is to start working on your VO2 max and clear your lactate threshold, clear your lactate. And so we'll talk about that here in a minute. So your plate's going to look like a little bit more grains. You know, your meat's missing thing. Remember, your fats increase with that one. So what's VO2 max and lactate threshold? I know Kathy may have talked to you about this, but VO2 max is the amount of oxygen that can be utilized in 1 minute during maximal exhaustive exercise, and it's the best indicator of cardiorespiratory endurance and aerobic fitness. So the better your VO2 max is, the more fit you are, the better energy system you have, you know, everything's working well. And again, in 7 to 8 months next year, I really hope to be able to start measuring that and working with people on the VO2 max. Lactate threshold is the intensity of exercise at which lactate begins to accumulate in the blood at a faster rate than it can be removed. You actually want your lactate threshold to be down low. I'm sorry, you want a high lactate threshold. So, sorry, a high lactate threshold. So actually, you can tolerate that, and you want to be able to clear your lactate so it's not accumulating. All right. So you want a good oxygen utilization ratio. You want to be able to clear your lactate, and that's just going to show that you're kind of more fit and better athlete on that side. On your building cycle, you want to professional grounds, that's where you're gonna start doing more speed work, you're gonna do your hill repeats. This is where nutrition becomes really important, and you don't wanna have any weight loss in the cycle. And I can tell you, and I'm just gonna tell you all of my mistakes because that's kind of how we learn, right? So on the build cycle, I did not do well with my nutrition when I first started doing ultras. I remember doing the hill workout at Mount Hope Cemetery, and I was so exhausted. I laid there in the middle of the summer, and I found a nice shady spot, and I started going, oh, this is a nice shady spot. Oh, I think I could lay here for a while. Oh, there's not enough water here. Oh, I can see nights. I go, oh my God. And finally it dawned on me, I go, you're laying in a cemetery. How long you can lay here? And then it's like, I got on the phone, I called my husband, I go, you need to bring me some water, and you need to bring me something to eat so I can finish this training run. So he's like, where are you? The cemetery. Where else would I be? So that's where your nutrition becomes really important. So that way you're not you aren't laying in the middle of the cemetery like I am. All right, so on the build cycle, you want to increase your carbs, your protein, your fat, and then you're looking at the numbers. Your calories have now gone up to about 1,000 calories, just with your build nutrition guidelines. With this one, when you're starting to build, this is where you want to start incorporating more of your pre-exercise snacks, and you want to practice your, what you're going to eat or drink during your competition day. Make sure you have enough recovery. Make sure you're drinking enough fluids. You want to do all of that for your electrolytes. And I think it's also good too to try to work with some different electrolyte things and supplements. I have noticed that my magnesium is very important. If I don't take enough magnesium when I start ramping up my miles and whatnot, I have the worst cramps. And not all magnesium tablets are made, are created equal. So I think wherever you get your supplements from, you want to make sure that they're a reputable source. They have what they say they have is adequate. So that's what I learned with mine is that my magnesium is my big problem.
That's what I learned watch form it comes in. It's nitric oxide plus GI issue.
Right. Mine's a reactive magnesium. That's what I take as well. All right, so now we're moving into competition cycle, and you want to just make sure you maintain a moderate to high level blood glucose. If your blood sugar drops below in a range of 80 to 100 while you're racing, that's when you get foggy during the race. You can't think, your energy stores start to drop, where you start to peter out. I do remember running a couple of races where I know my blood glucose fell because I was running and, oh my gosh, where am I running? Where am I going? And you kind of get, I'm sure most of us probably have done that, where you're just not thinking. You have to really stop and think about, okay, now what am I doing? Where am I going? That kind of stuff. And so 80 to 100, when we talk about 80 to 100 anyway for normal blood glucose, but really race, you don't want to drop below that level. Your carbohydrate consumption, here we go, affects both mental and physical abilities. And then that you're going to be set up for injury, right? So if your blood sugar starts to bomb, your form and everything starts to kick in, you become fatigued, that's a potential problem. So again, you want to increase your carbs, your grains, especially for race, kind of top off the tank, that kind of thing. Your protein's still there, not much in the way of fiber because you don't want to be all bloated and distended. Your competition cycle, all right, so this is where you're really in the heart of racing. You're probably not training as hard. You're still just doing some workouts in between a race, but really you're just kind of recovering to get to the next race. All right. So with running, okay, it kind of coincides with the build cycle. So, there's not, again, one good step off of when one starts, one ends. So after a race, you taper off, you rest, you recover, and then you build back up again. So you can get to the next race. Here's the goal is to improve race performance and also recover quickly and move on. So if it takes you a long time to recover, that's not going to help you get to the next race unless you're spreading out your races. But if you want to get boom, 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 you want to be able to recover. So your nutrition goals are basically similar to the build cycle. You want to match your energy intake with expenditure. I mean, Kathy, you said it. This is where it's done. It's now you've done all the hard work. Just go out and enjoy. I mean, you've done it all. So this is where you should be in the competition cycle. Just go out and enjoy the races and go do. You may have to tweak a few things, but really you shouldn't be doing a whole lot of the competition races. That are just racing, your recovery from the back. I can tell you that I never had that biggest smile. Any of the finish lines. Maybe after I sat down and thought about longer than 90 minutes. Again, you really want to make sure your in-competition fueling plan is up to snuff. And then again, your post-race recovery nutrition is very important. So after racing or after working out or using your running card, you really want to look at what are you taking in and when are you taking that in. Because you really want to start getting your foods back in, your protein stores back in, all those things so that you can start helping your recovery. And I think Samantha's actually going to talk about a lot of these things a little more in her.
Yes, about specific to racing.
Yeah,
That'll be next
so-
one.
Okay, so your post-race season or post-season recovery. This is your strength training. This is when you start increasing your aerobic conditioning. This is when you start working on getting your core tight. You want to start to rebuild those muscles. This is actually when Jason tells me that I should really be hitting more of the branched chain amino acids and proteins to build that muscle up so you can be a better, stronger body. This is a time to kind of rebuild and restore and get everything better so you can start looking at your next season.
So this is like September, October down to Christmas, time Christmas before you start your cycle in January-ish. So when you're, that's when you want to rebuild and recover, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's when, he told me, hit the branched chain amino acids when I'm working out with him, and then afterwards. He had me doing that afterwards as well. Okay, so, depending on what you just done or what you just completed, you may actually need 2 to 4 weeks to actually rest, and not do anything. The thing that you have to think about is this is time when you're going to potentially gain weight because you're really not exercising. So you want to, look at your diet, look at what you're doing. So just be careful about gaining unwanted weight with that. You want to try at some point to get a basic level of aerobic conditioning, and then mainly just let your body rest and repair itself, heal. Go enjoy your family. Go enjoy new foods. Go enjoy all those things that you probably neglected for the last several months. This is the time to do it. And then your plate should be back kind of to the basic, easy training. You don't really need to carb load or anything like that. So back to the runner, postseason recovery. Notice the calories drop back down to about 2,000-ish. And so you just drop your grams, proteins, and fats. Compensate for that. Again, kind of get back, enjoy these. You want to just get rid of all the gels, the sports drinks, the booze. You don't need that in your diet right now. Just keep, try to help your foods at that point. Alright. There is a concept about metabolic efficiency. We are predominantly carb burners based on our diet and based on the way we train. And now there's things out there that talks about utilizing fat better as an energy source, and can we do it? There's training done by, is this last name Sibahar?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so he's kind of, and I started researching a lot of this, he's kind of like a big guru out there that's actually talking about the metabolic efficiency training. So if you actually just look at ratios of carbohydrates and protein, so a 1-to-1 ratio of your carbohydrates and protein, he says is ideal. 2 to 1 is okay, 3 to 1, are good, okay. 4 to 1, and then anything 5 to 1 or greater, you can't do that. I mean, you're eating too much carbohydrates. And the problem, kind of thinking back, is too much carbohydrates, your insulin levels are high, and that leads to more inflammation, it leads to more diabetes, it leads to more heart disease, right? So it doesn't just have to be athletes and nutrition, it's just general fitness and overall. So looking at his recommended ratios, 1-to-1 ratio for any type of rest and recovery, and it goes on up to like a 3 to 1 to 4 to 1 depending on your volume of training. Alright. So yes, you can increase your carbohydrates, kind of like the other examples that we showed before, but this kind of gives you a different way to think about it. So if you're looking at a label and you're trying to figure out, how do I figure out this carbohydrate to protein ratio? What you want to do is look at your total carbohydrates, and here in this example is 28 grams. Then look at the dietary fiber. If your dietary fiber is greater than 5 grams, that's considered a high fiber source, right? And so here the dietary fiber is 11 grams. So you divide that in half, right? So that gives you a rough estimate of 5 or 6. So we use 6 because we round up. So then what you do for your total carbohydrate is 28 minus 6 gets you 22 grams of carbohydrates, right? And then what you want to do is look at your protein and figure out the ratio. So if you look at protein and it's 11 grams, so 22 by 11 gives you 2. So basically, your ratio of carbohydrates to protein is 2 to 1. Alright? So, and this is a can of kidney beans. So the kidney beans has a carbohydrate to protein ratio of 2 to 1. So it's a little bit easier, I think, to calculate those things and to figure out 1.3 grams per kilogram, you know, that whole thing. That gets a little bit mundane and it gets complicated. But I think this is a quicker, cleaner way to figure out carbohydrate and protein ratios. You can also eat it out to still get a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you eat black beans that have a ratio of carb to protein ratio of 2 to 1, but then you mix it also with tempeh, which has a 1 to 2 ratio, then they give you not to a 1-to-1 ratio. So you don't have to look for one food that is a 1-to-1 ratio. I mean, look at your general diet. Look at everything that you're eating and try to get it as close to a 1-to-1 ratio or a 2-to-1 ratio. So that's kind of his idea is that by sticking to this 1-to-1 ratio, now you're relying on more fats and protein as energy sources instead of being a total carb burner, and then you're less likely to burn out during the race. You know, we've kind of talked a little bit about vitamin and mineral supplements. That's a whole nother lecture all in itself to make you a better functional being. That's talking about adrenals, that's talking about thyroid, that's talking about your cholesterol, it's talking about testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. And I'm not talking about it in a doping mechanism, I'm just talking about general health, what you need to be a healthy person. Totally different lecture. All I can say is that if you are going to do supplements, as Diane said, you need to know where it's coming from. You need to know what form it is. You want to look at, is it close to like, you know, not a medicine, so not pharmaceutical grade, we call it nutraceutical grade. So you want to make sure it's coming from a reputable source. Because if you just go out to Sam's or Costco's or Walmart, now you're buying that vitamin D and it's cheaper, but it may not be good quality vitamin D. It may not be the hydroxy vitamin D that you need. The magnesium for your magnetite versus your reactive magnesium, those types of things. So you kind of want to look at that. Yeah, it's cheap, but is it a good source of that supplement or nutraceutical?
The other thing to worry about is when you're supplementing, especially minerals, you have to be really careful. When you load a whole bunch of one thing, you're going to suppress the level of something else. And so you have to be really careful about what you're supplementing and then what is potentially affecting.
Right.
And which things bind with which things. So you can mess things up more than you can help with doing it.
All right, so really this is kind of just the intro to nutrition. Hopefully this gave you basic information because don't look back, you're not going that way. Hopefully you won't run into the same things that I ran into. You may, I mean, that's how we kind of learn and go, ooh, that was not good, explosive, whatever. But hopefully you'll learn kind of basic nutrition and things, and then we're all going to hopefully cross that finish line with big smiles on our faces. So that is it. I don't have anything else for the lecture. I do have business cards, and I do have some coupons for my practice to come see me, and then also just some general brochures of our practices.
So, two things. One, can you tell, maybe I missed it because I'm very, very sorry. I totally missed the time change. I thought I was early. But can you go over what you do in your practice, how you could help people, and then also the supplementation, you touched on it very lightly, but is that something that you can help with
I can,
as
okay.
well? So that, because I don't want to go out to Sam's and spend $20 on magnesium if it's not the better kind, and if you can guide us in that, then that would be great.
Okay, so like I said before, I'm transitioning to this integrative wellness medicine, starting the precision nutrition program, and then hopefully get everything in place by next year, measuring oxygen utilization. So with my practice that I will be doing, I will not just be doing nutrition and fitness, although that is my passion, that's become my love, that I really like. But I do work with people with adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, I deal with thyroid, I do hormone replacements, like, you know, and again, a whole nother lecture, but as we age, women, our estrogen, progesterone gets all screwed up, men, your testosterone drop, and that just affects well-being. So that is all part of my practice now.
You need a referral from a primary physician to get in to see
You don't, you just need to call my office and say, hey, I'm part of the Oak Park Tri Team, I want to see Janet, and we'll get you scheduled, all right? So that's kind of our practice. If in with our practice, we also have massage therapists, we do acupuncture there, we do neurofeedback. We do also do some IV vitamin therapy, depending on, you know, the situation and some other things. So it's kind of more of a wellness, holistic approach of what I'm doing with our practice. But again, I do a lot of that, but I would really like to focus on nutrition and fitness. Again, not just for athletes, but for everybody. On top of all that, I'm going back and doing more OMM classes, some DO, to try to get my manipulation skills back, so I can do a little bit more, you know, adjusting and whatnot. Because if you think about it, we all have tight hip flexors, we all have tight quads, and there's ways that we can, you know, manipulate and work with the pelvis and release a lot of that. The other thing that I started to do in the practice is something called prolotherapy. So an injury to a ligament or whatnot, you just think you had a sprained ankle and it's healed. But what happens is that your ligaments are usually very nice, tight ligaments, but when you injure yourself and they heal, sometimes they're not completely right on. And so you kind of have that chronic twinge, that chronic pain, and you've tried working with Jason, you've tried doing rolling, you've tried working with other trainers, and it's just not there. Well, there's been some literature that shows if you do something called prolotherapy, which I'm also doing, you inject that area with pharmaceutical grade dextrose and lidocaine. What you do is that you stimulate the body to start inflammation and repair and healing. And over the course of time, instead of your ligaments kind of doing this, they actually repair itself and you kind of get back to normal. And you know, and I can say that I've had prolo done on me, and that was actually one of the ways that I was able to get through that year, the ultra. So I ran a marathon in the spring, I did a 50 miler in the summer, I followed up with the Chicago Marathon, and a week later I ran my 63 miler, 100K. And with prolotherapy, I've been doing some of the nutrition things and bonking on those two marathons. I think that's how I got through that 100K, all of these different modalities.
And I think it's important to know that you don't have to be ill to go see Janet. You can be healthy but wanting to be healthier and stronger and go see Janet because she can help optimize your health and well-being.
Any questions? When did I start running? I dabbled in it when I was in med school, but when did I really start was when I started the tri class and I really had to go up like that.
So within the last 5 years.
In the last 5 years, so
Okay, I'll take the tri class.
So I did it. So I looked at my kids, I took the tri class, and I did the triathlon. And I was running 5Ks. And that fall was the Capital City Half. I go, well, I can run a 5K. I can run a half, right? I just have to get up to now training to 8 to 10 miles. So I did, and I ran that half marathon. And I thought, oh my God, what did I just do? I will never do that again. I was like, stupid, loser. You know, it was horrible. And then, but I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't know what I was doing. I surely didn't know about rolling and, you know, all that other things. So I kind of morphed over time. So the next year, of course, I signed up for Kathy's class. And here we are. And then I thought, well, gosh, if I can run a half marathon, I can run a marathon. So what did I do? That next fall, I ran Grand Rapids. And I thought, I will never do that again. Oh my God, what was I thinking running that Grand Rapids marathon? And then, you know, I kind of recovered it. I think it's kind of like labor. You forget about all the hellacious things, but you just have that beautiful medal sitting there. Like, oh, that's great. Yeah. So then, yeah. So then the next year, I did the triathlon. I think that was the year that I come in third in my age group. Well, then someone goes, do you want to run an ultra? Sure, what's an ultra? and I think we were going on, I think Steve, you were first up, and then that's when I finally revealed myself. And kids, Kathy made us introduce ourselves and tell our goals, and I said, I think I'm going to run this 50-mile ultra. And they looked at me like, I think so. So then,
We knew before her husband was.
that's right. I didn't tell my
When a
husband.
group of triathletes
That's
think you're
right.
crazy, you're really
I
crazy.
know. So I didn't come in. So then that third year, that's when I ran that spring marathon, 50 miler, Chicago, and then the 100K. And so that's kind of how it all kind of morphed and rolled. And then last year, I was planning to run that 50, and then that's kind of where this really kicks in, because then I was plagued with injury. And I still kind of am plagued with injury and nutrition stuff. So that's when I ran the Taquamenon Falls race then I rolled all the way back into Common Falls. I took my nutrients, I took my electrolytes, and then I ran that marathon relay the next day. I kind of thought I'd do myself, so I did do my portion of it fairly well. So then after that, you know, kind of more, that's my whole season. Now I'm into this season, right? So this May, I was wanting to run that 24-hour ultra. I had this chronic piriformis injury. And this is how good Jason is, and I'm so blessed that Kathy got him as part of our team, because he basically said to me this, are you in this for the duration, or are you just in this for the season? Meaning, do I want to keep racing, do I want to keep running, or do I just want to keep abusing myself and beating myself up? And I can just maybe run that the 24 hours. Right, I say, yeah, I ran a 24 ultra, 24-hour ultra, but I can't do anything else. So I kind of been contemplating, and I think I decided this is going to be a non-race season. I'm not going to do the 24-hour ultra. I'm not going to do any of the races. I'm going to work on strength training, my nutrition, my core, being a stronger being in the next year on that trip. So I still, you know, working out with the tri team and that stuff, just because I still want to keep doing that. But this is kind of like my growth year.
When I love your story, and I think Steve Baker shares this story, and I share this story, is that you can jump in and you can race for a period of time and possibly be abusing your body for a period of time, but then there's going to come a point where your body is not going to tolerate it, and you have to think about recovery. You have to think about periodization of your year so that you're not beating yourself up 6 days a week, 7 days a week, year round. You have to think about nutrition. You have to think about supplementation. You can't continue to do the high volume and not support it and not recover. And I know I had to have a recovery year last year. Regardless of the cancer or not, I would have had to have a largely recovery year last year because I was plagued with injuries. I know Steve's kind of going through that and deciding he's going to have a recovery year. So I guess let's learn from the stories that you're hearing, and I love to hear it, that you know you have to take care of yourself. You have to have recovery, both inside your week, taking a day off, and inside your schedule where you're recovering from races and not doing back, and planning really good nutrition and thinking about supplementation and thinking about strength to be able to support what we do and love. Because we all want to keep doing this till we're 80 and 90 years old. Thank you for letting me interrupt.
Oh, no problem. So that's my story. That's where I am. That's who I am. And
So is there an ultra marathon registration?
Yeah. Mary, you want to run it? That's what I thought she was asking. It's just 24 hours. You can do anything for 24
Funny how that time increases every time.
That did start out as 30-second sprints.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, half hour.
Yeah. But if you guys have any questions, just call me. I mean, I would love to see you guys as patients. That would be my ultimate goal, and you know, eventually work with you, getting everything healthy. But I mean, in the meantime, if something comes up, I'm really happy to answer it. I'm glad you guys asked the questions because then I can actually research it, and next time we get this lecture, be a little bit more.
So is this going to be available for people who weren't able to attend?
Yes, Craig's been working on videoing it.
Yep, we've actually done a live stream of it, and actually Listening has been watching it live.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
And it'll be recorded afterwards. We'll be able to give you the link to watch the recording. Jen has slides. I have the slides.
I have it as a PDF. Nice and happy. Just because if you put the actual slides, it's such a large file with all the pictures and everything. I converted it to PDF.
What did you use to be able to do it on your phone?
I love my techno stuff because I usually run it off an iPad. So I can run all my lectures off the iPad. I just ran off the computer just to make sure I didn't. So I use Keynote. It's all Mac and Apple based. So I have Keynote remote on my phone. It actually has all my slides with my slide notes. If I had my glasses on, I could read it, but I didn't. So it has all the slides cloud, I download it to my iPad, I plug the adapters in, I just run it and go.
Taking good notes over
I
there.
am.
So Keynote is the app. And then
Keynote is
remote.
the Apple based, and so with Keynote.
It's their version of PowerPoint.
Correct, but with Keynote, you can convert it to a PowerPoint. So if say I came in yesterday and my computer did not work here because I came in yesterday to try it all out, I could convert it to PowerPoint and I could run it off at the YMCA.
Can you go the other way? Because I think my PowerPoint stuff I've already developed for my classes and turn it into Keynote.
If you incorporate it, I've never gone backwards. I bet you probably could, but you probably have to use it. You can't convert it in your PowerPoint project. I think you probably have to open it up in Keynote.
Correct, you open a PowerPoint keynote.
In Keynote. And then
There might be
convert it
some
that way.
formatting weirdness, but it should work.
So Greg, did you bring this slides?
Yeah. You should.
Yeah, I mean, and I can work with you. I literally, when I do my national lectures, it's an iPad and my iPhone. And I make sure that I have my hotspot synced, so I'm not relying on the hotel wireless. This is all synced off of my hotspot right now.
You're doing a lot of crap.
Yeah, I did too. I would walk around with computers and all this stuff and try, and no, I just store it up in the cloud, download it, and it's done.
So as soon as we can, we'll put this on, try Coach Kathy, the video stream and the PowerPoint. We'll let you know.
Okay. I have more of these coupons, Kathy. Do you want me to just, I can give these to you, pass out to the tri-team or people who are here? I have more, this is.
Yes, I'll bring them to the next Nutritional lecture, because there's people that couldn't go.
Okay.
Again, I apologize profusely for being late, you guys, I totally lost the time change. But I'll collect from you on your way out if you don't
Who
mind.
will you rank it out to? Ken?
Me.
Thank you for your time. What was
All
that?
right,
Yeah.
thank you for
Yay! It's 10 for individual classes, a la carte, haha, for nutrition, got that? Or 25 for all three.